touch on or talk about. I mean, this is a group call, mastermind, open forum, even though we'll have PowerPoints that we'll run through. Hopefully the topics will spur your activity and questions and comments and suggestions and what's working for you. So anybody have anything particular that they want to get that popped in their mind that they want to make sure we cover today? How many of you are just here because you're ready to find out some different ways you can really leverage social media? Yeah.
I was just curious to see what other people's success rates were advertising, Facebook, Google, etc.
Yep. And if anybody knows those numbers, that's the mastermind part of this. So as we get into some things, if you know your numbers and you're having some success, or if you've done something and you're having failure, definitely share that too. That's the mastermind part of this. That's where this becomes interactive and you guys can really get a lot out of it. Somebody else was going to jump in. It's like we got a good group coming in here today. All right. Anybody else have any preconceived questions, ideas that you want to make sure we cover? And we're going to jump into it. Green one. All right. Let me see here. I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, go ahead. Who's that? Or was that just a microphone buzzing? All right, may have been.
Brian Stevens hopped on for a few minutes. Brad, how you doing?
Hey, good. What's going on, Brian?
Just catching in between calls here.
All right. Yeah, there's several of you. Brian, you might write down his name and track him down. He's having some success with experiencing this one-on-one touch and the follow-up system. Really just keeping in touch, getting that connection, writing the handwritten note, and then doing the follow-up things. I'm not saying everybody does it perfect because it took me over a year to get it perfect to where I fed it every day and stayed up with it. Even today, I'll have days where, a week just gets blown and you don't do that week's follow-up thing. So you just pick up where you left off and keep rolling. But is anybody else having any success with their follow-up, the 8-touch brand plan system? That's something I just cannot ever stop talking about because I know it's the absolute secret to make everything you do better. In fact, we're going to touch on that a little bit today. We're not going to talk about that specifically, but how you can tie your social media into that plan and be on purpose about some of the stuff you guys are doing online and getting exposure. All right, cool. So I'm sharing my screen. Everybody see the power of 3? Is that on the screen? All right. You guys all have you been up on this? You know what's going on? We started a contest on, I think it was October 2nd or 3rd, and it's just tracking the activities that you guys are already doing. We're talking about all these things and all these ways to get business. And now you guys are hopefully plugging those into your brand plan and then staying in touch with people after you connect with them and start to build a database. Guys, building a pipeline of business. So on this particular thing here, there's just these point systems for doing stuff that we're already talking about you're doing. Prospecting calls, social media posts. Man, you guys are going to lock it up with points on social media posts because we're going to talk about today how you can take one informational piece and slice and dice it up into 10, 20 social media posts for the week. And get the most mileage out of it. That way it's not always spending your time looking for the next thing to get. I got a great flyer from somebody on renting versus owning or why buy now. I'm seeing some great articles out there that are addressing the current market conditions. And if you just take one of those articles, might have to mute somebody to see if the background noise was coming from there. So if I muted you, just raise your hand if you need to unmute and talk. But so it is forgot what I was just talking about. Oh, on the social media post and just having that feed to your database every single day, that will build that pipeline and get a crazy amount of business going through. But taking a loan app, doing a meeting with a Zoom meeting with a referral partner, getting on a recruiting call, those kind of things, open house, you're going to get 3 points for that. So they are giving weekly things away. And so it resets every week, I believe, for that weekly tracker. So everybody has a chance to win, because all you have to do is do enough points in all these things that you can crank it up and be wherever you need to be. So watch that leaderboard on that. And I was just going to show you guys too how to get there, just to make sure everybody knows how to get there. Let me get over here. My tabs are all hidden here. But when you go to your, you got to go to Coach Simple to do this one. So maybe you just set a note, says, go to Coach Simple and track my stuff for the day, where you can at least open this up and have it open. But if you go down here to the sales activity tab, that will open up your tracker. And it's a real quick, easy deal. If you made a prospecting call, just hit that plus button for every prospecting call you make. If you made a social media post, handwritten note. So if you've done any of these things this last few days, make sure you go in and tally those up, and just make sure you can back them up. I'm sure it's the honor system rolling out through here, but you guys are going to find out it's not too hard to really rack up some points. So I just want to make sure everybody knew how to get there.
There's a PDF document too, on the hub. So if you want, if somebody's like a paper person, you want to carry it around with you, you can print it off there.
Yeah, you might even just have that paper in front of you during the day, because you're not always sitting in front of your computer. If you guys just track that for the week on your paper sheet, and then just make sure your online sheet matches. Sure, it's paper, but anyway, it's they're going to be giving away some pretty cool stuff. So, okay, let me get out of here and get over to our PowerPoint. Screen sharing is stopped. Okay, no, I don't want to do that. I want to go back to screen sharing and slideshow. So I did put together, this is actually something that I did for NAR, National Association of Realtors, a while back. So here's the preface that I've got to put on this, but it's really important that you hear me. That so I hope that doesn't take my share away. All right, you see the word blog in there. Okay, this was a thing I did for NAR. I don't even know how long ago it was, probably 5 years ago, for NAR on blogging. And honestly, if you hear the word blog, I want you to also hear the word podcast, because they run simultaneously. A podcast is a longer version, detail of some particular topic, and that's exactly what a blog is as well. Blogging, believe it or not, is still around, and you can still get massive Google juice off blogging. Now, the good news is if you podcast and you can talk very succinctly and not in your normal conversation voice, you can transcribe your podcast and use that in your blog. I'm still blogging on some sites. I'm going to share a few different sites with you that I've Googled to see what's really around. There were about 50% of the sites that I covered at the time I did this for National Association of Realtors that aren't around anymore. So this is the mastermind part, that if you guys are podcasting or blogging or anything that we talk about, the type of posts that you're posting that's getting good results, those are the things where just raise your hand. Oh, and I see Patty's got her hand raised. So just raise your hand, and I'm going to ask you to unmute, Patty, if you have a question. But just raise your hand to grab my attention. I will see that, and or just cut me off, right? Just cut me off and jump in. So if you guys have anything to add on any of this stuff, let me know. But I'm going to jump into it and just get through the material so that we can talk about what all we just covered. There's a lot of you that are new to coaching right now, so you may not know a little bit about my background. But in the real estate world, I've been selling 100 properties a year for 20 plus years. I actually just had one of my techie top realtors from another area. He's down in Florida. I was texting him to check in and see how he was doing. He's like, I'm semi-retired, managing 200 rental properties, selling about 50 homes a year. And I'm just partying with all my friends down here at the lake. It's like Margaritaville. And guys, it was funny because I was like, holy crap, am I semi-retired? Because I sell about 60 or 70 homes a year. I'm coaching with you guys. I live at the lake. I have fun with my life, and I love helping you guys figure things out so you can have the lifestyle you want. But when he described it, I'm like, well, you just described my business, man. Am I semi-retired or what? I didn't feel like I was. So anyway, that was kind of funny. But anyway, I just real quick, I'm Bill Hart. You guys all know Bill, that's with the coaching company. He's interviewed me a couple times way back in the day. And most of it, I believe, if I remember correctly, he used to hand out CDs. If you've been around for a long time, they would have a CD version of the interviews that came out. And I mean, he said it was one of the most like requested interviews of all that he's had back at that time. I don't know what's happened since then, but man, I was just talking about the database and that, you know, if you have 1,000 people on Facebook and 1,000 people on your phone, you have 200 sales sitting in front of you. So it's the same conversation, and it's so simple that a lot of people don't get it. So it's not easy to manage 1,000 relationships. It is simple though. A couple other big ones is the E-Myth Real Estate Agent I wrote with Michael Gerber, which a lot of you already know that. What you might not know is I've been on a couple HGTV shows. My House is Worth What? So we're going to actually, the reason why I'm talking about these things is there's something about social media, your podcast, any blogging type things or website, things you have on your website to drive these media things to make it happen so that you can get involved. Another one on here, you see this big old diamond down here. Realtor.com ran a national marketing contest back in 2005, I think it was. And
Brad,
go ahead.
If you're sharing your screen, it's not sharing.
It's not sharing. Okay.
No.
Well, that would be no fun to watch if you can't even see what I'm sharing.
Oh, I thought it was just me.
No, as soon as he pointed out there was something to see, I realized, he doesn't know.
There you go. Yep. How about now?
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So Bill Hart's interview, Realtor.com. This diamond down here that you see was actually from Realtor.com's contest. We won their national marketing contest. And guys, it had nothing more to do than what we're talking about today. Some posts that I made during the contest about how Realtor.com has helped me sell houses. And I posted a little story about how I use extra photos, extra description. I enhance all of our properties. And today, just so you know, on your real estate agents in their world, Realtor.com is actually almost like a 4-letter word in our industry, right? At least it is on the real estate side. Now, you may find that these real estate agents are calling you guys going, hey, you want to pay for some banner ads on Realtor.com? Actually just ask them, you really support Realtor.com and get business from it? Well, no, not really. I just need somebody else's money to pay for it. That's where you're going to end up on that conversation. So Realtor.com has not been a good friend to the real estate industry, along with which is creating like the Zillows and the Trulias and some of that stuff. So realtors like to bash those things. However, I'm just going to tell you, I'm kind of giving you a realtor's perspective here. Those things give me as a listing real estate agent massive exposure to my properties. Now, here's what's even more crazy is your real estate agents, if they list a property and they can get this massive exposure, are they setting it up to where it's driving leads back to them? Or even better yet, you're teaching them and training them to send them back to you, right? Because you're the first line of defense to see if they're approvable or not. And if you can get these real estate agents to set their funnel up to send all their leads to you, sure, you got to sift through some stuff, but if you get their leads coming to you, isn't that a good thing, right? Especially in this market. Eventually, the more apps you take, the more closings you're going to have. If you don't have enough closings, you're not taking enough apps. So the apps are created by us qualifying people, and sometimes you can have that funnel coming to you. So I hope I'm already giving you guys some ideas on what you're going to do with this stuff and conversations that you might have with the real estate agents this week. But the last thing that I was just going to talk about on here was, so the diamond, we won a 5-carat diamond from realtor.com, and it was presented to us at the National Association of Realtors. Like, I don't know how many agents go to that thing, 25, 30,000 people. They had the glass thing with the diamond and the lights all over it and a security guard. And we won that from just submitting my story on their website of how we use their website to promote properties and help our sellers. So hold on one second. We'll make sure I take care of any background noise. All right. Any questions? I know I just threw some little tidbits out about real estate agents and getting their leads to come to you. Did anything spark with anybody on any of that stuff?
Brad, I'm driving. It's Brian again. You went through that pretty quick, man. So are you saying that these realtors need to set their listings up at realtor.com? I thought that automatically picked up their feed.
It does.
Their listing.
It does. Guys, let me share something with you. So it does pick up their feed. So this is a conversation that I would have with my real estate agents if I were you, the loan officer, in your shoes. I would be saying, how are your realtor.com, Zillow, internet leads coming to you? How are they doing on your listings? What kind of traffic are you capturing from your social media post about your properties? And we're going to talk about all those posts and things today and how they could even leverage what you're learning today, the conversation we're having today, and how they can take that out with their properties. And I'll tell you, Brian, here's the thing. When I listed a property in real estate, my goal is to get 3 buyers for every listing that I took. Now, let me slow this down for a minute. My absolute minimum goal is to get 3 buyers from every listing that I took, because if I went through the work to get that sign in the yard, I wanted to have all the marketing in place to get the most exposure to the property to sell it. But I also wanted to be on purpose to capture 3 buyers from every listing. So then I'm leveraging my business. So guys, right now we're in a market where they put a sign, they don't even have the sign in the yard and it's sold and gone, right? And if you don't have a marketing system in place to capture internet leads, like everybody that would see it in that first day and capture all those to pull 2 or 3 buyers out of there, what they're doing is they're listing a house, selling it overnight, collecting a commission check, and they're like, woohoo, cashing in on the lottery ticket. It's like you had a listing that attracts buyers. I mean, what's their open house strategy? What's their internet strategy? What's their way that they're going to capture these leads and get them in so they can control the market?
Your call to action.
Yeah. And it's like, if you already went through all the work to get the listing, why not get 3 more commission checks off of it? So we averaged about 2 buyers for every listing that we took, because we actually probably did closer to 3 for a long time when we actually had listings on the market longer. But I had a team of 4 buyers agents. So think about this. And this is for all your teams. Guys, hear me if you are working with any big teams. My team members were doing less volume than I was. So I got one guy, Brad Korn, just listing properties. I got 4 buyers agents just working with buyers. They didn't outsell me ever at all at any year. In fact, it was about 50-50. I listed and sold as many properties as they had buyers that they contracted and sold. 4 people to 1. Now, sure, you get leverage out of a listing, but I had to also get leads to get back to the team to have that value there. And what you're going to find in a lot of teams, and I've done some extensive research on this, the team members on most teams are starving to death. You could have a team that's doing 200 sales a year. I know of one, they're one of the top teams in Kansas City, right? 200 sales a year. And they have 10 team members that are all barely selling 1 house a month, maybe 2 houses a month. There was no one on the team selling 3, 4, or 5 houses a month every single month, except the lead buyers, the lead agents of the team. So these team members might be starving. So when you get an opportunity to meet with a team member of a big team, don't worry about the big fish yet. Find out what's going on in that agent's world and how you can help them grow their business. And we talk about that conversation on our coaching calls and our group calls all the time. In fact, if there is anything Actually, I don't know. I need to send out a link to all of you to where all those recorded group calls are in case you want to grab something specific. But usually I'll send you a link to it if it's pertinent to something we talk about on your one-on-one coaching call. I'll send you the link to that. So just keep that in mind, that helping that agent grow their business first and then getting introduced and helping them do a little bit and then getting introduced to the lead agent is not a bad move, right? Might start with just an agent on their team, but most, I will say 95% of all big teams, 95% of their team members are starving to death, and they are not feeding the database every day. They haven't even tapped into their phone list, their Facebook list, none of that. So anyway, that marketing stuff that I talk about is what help make a lot of this stuff happen that you see on the screen. I didn't mean to leave this up here that long. But any questions on anything I've thrown out so far? I know I'm kind of unloading on you guys, but I'm pretty confident you guys can handle the speed of this. Do I have Linda saying something? No, maybe we're just picking up background noise. All right. So guys, here's what I'm going to talk about on the social media stuff. We're going to talk, this is like the main thing that I want today's conversation to be around. I'm going to skim through most of these slides pretty quick because I know you're going to see blog and you're going to go, what? No, just replace it with podcast, but keep them together, because whatever you podcast, you should be blogging. Or in this case, if you look at this graphic, and I know, can you guys all see it okay, or is it too small? You can see it okay? So if you look in the center, you've got your website. And on your main website, and I know I really want to emphasize that you will hear people say how there's so many websites now, and websites aren't getting aren't as important as some of the other stuff. The website is the core. That's your front door, your core front door that has your address on it, the ways to contact you. And even though you might be using capture forms in some of your social media posts and things like that to get people to click to want more information, understand that your website or the blog are your detailed part of what you want to explain. So like on your website, you guys all have website links on your website that have stories about renting versus owning or whatever. There's like full articles and full information pages of all kinds of stuff on our movement website. What we're going to do is take bits and pieces of those and bring them out of the ring into other marketing mediums to drive them back for the full piece of information. So like if the one flyer that I saw somebody send out about why buy now was 4 or 5 paragraphs long. But if I'm going to put that 4 or 5 paragraph thing on Facebook, nobody's going to read it. If I'm going to put that 4 or 5, if that flyer with all that detailed information and post the picture of it on Instagram, nobody's really going to read it. What you're looking for, and I forgot who said that, call to action. I think it was Kimberly that said call to action, and your headline, your marketing headlines. That's what our social media sites are for. The headline for Facebook, the headline and the call to action for LinkedIn or Instagram. Believe it or not, TikTok would be a way to just do some little fun tidbit that would cause them to want to click and follow you and or find out more about you. You could do something about find out how this veteran just bought a house with no money out of his pocket. That could be a TikTok video. And then when they clicked on it, they would go to your website on the VA link and how to qualify for a VA loan or something like that, right? Because VAs are no money down.
So
saying,
Brad, let me just add really quick. You are referring to our website where I believe we have some limitations as to what we can do on our website because it is a corporate website. We also have 2 separate websites, which is our VA or military site that we can send people to and read and direct them to, like the boot camp of VA. So I get that. But even when we go to the standard corporate website, you know, there's the latest, looks like market update, and there's the mortgage sense. And I know Movement has a blog, but there's really not a whole lot from our own website. But we do have a blog site that has different topics. Just want to put out there. then maybe that's where we can extract the information from on social media. But as for the actual website, I think that's going to be potentially be a little bit more challenging.
Yeah.
Well, so-
I'm sorry. The blog, are you talking about, is it Kim or Kimberly?
Kimberly?
Kimberly, you're talking about like the movement, the writers, our inside marketing writers. Is that what you mean? That blog post?
Yeah, it's blog.movement, .com
Yeah.
or something like that. And it's got the
It's-
mortgage sense, it's got the market updates, so it's got the different blog topics that you can extract from.
Yeah. And then there's Optimal Blue that posts they're sort of our canned
Yep.
marketing pieces, but we're constrained as to what we can say. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, so let me kind of pull this together and simply define this graphic with what you just shared.
Okay.
Those ultimately, where do we capture their name, address, phone number, and email, right? And when we do social media posts, no matter what you do, even when you podcast, even when you blog, the podcasts are typically 30 minutes, 45 minutes, hours. When we see like most podcasts, like it's an interview thing, maybe you're interviewing a local restaurant, something like that. Or same with the blog. A blog is more like 2 or 3 paragraphs explaining in detail about a topic. When we throw it out to social media, we're putting teasers out there, the headlines and the call to action to get them to fill in the form. But that may not, I mean, really, in the big scheme of things, that's not going to attract a lot of people to click and give you their information. But what they do is they click to get to those websites where that more detailed information is. Now, here's your homework part. Go to each of those. And if you like the topic that's on there, if you specialize in VA, look at your VA loan, that website. There's got to be a way that it's personalized to you, though, that if they said, I want more information, and they click, they're putting their email in and it's coming to you. So this is your homework assignment from today, is pull up all the different sites that you might refer people to right now and see if there's a capture form somewhere. And if there's any kind of form on that site, fill it in with your personal information and then go back and see if it came to your email. Does that make sense? Another good way I do this is Google your name and mortgage. Now you're going to show up a lot on the first page with your movement page because they get you guys massive internet exposure just through the movement site and Google Juice and all that other stuff. But click on the different links and fill in the form and see where it goes. You got to know where your leads are coming in at. And what we're talking about here today, this graphic, I'll just kind of start from the outside ring. You got your offline marketing, your search engine marketing, your listing, which is an agent or if you are doing Facebook, some of those Facebook posts where you're taking the agent's listings and marketing them to capture buyers and get into your system, and your online marketing. All of that stuff you want to feed back to the main web page where they can get more detailed information, or maybe it's the main blog or whatever. Think about your website as the front door, or it's your office, and you're going to have all your stuff that you're doing out there is coming back there with a way to make sure you're capturing their information so you can put them in your database, pick up the phone and call them, get them to fill out an application and start the process. You got to have a place to get them to cultivate them. And right now we have so many things that we're just throwing out there, posting something on Facebook with no call to action or no way to capture any information or no way to see if they want more information, right? Now, TikTok, I mean, again, I struggle with that one because I'm trying to figure out how to make it usable. Right now, I'm just using it for fun, just for exposure and fun. They see my name, that kind of stuff. So I know that some of that stuff's out there, but what you're doing is you're driving all your marketing, including your offline marketing, back to your main page or the main capture site that will feed to your database. Because right there is where you can capture, cultivate, and close. And if you're not getting them there, and I'm telling you, most of your real estate agents have so many fragmented things going out there, I don't even know if they know where their leads are. Several of you we've had on our one-on-one calls in the last month or so is to ask them, How many internet leads do you have? How do you find them, right? Like, what do you search by in your email? Do I put in realtor.com or do I put in, Ojo? That's another lead source, or Homelight is one that they might be getting leads from. So if they typed in Homelight, will it just pull up all their Homelight leads that they've gotten? And it's an opportunity for you to say, give me all those. Let me resurrect some of these that you're not doing anything with, that are just sitting in your email box. By the way, some of you have already done that this month, and you got the agents to give you the list, right? I don't know if anybody's on the call that's got that. If they want to share their success with that, I'll let you do that. But getting the agents to give you their internet lead list, so you'd have, because remember, right now we're in the fourth quarter. So if you're trying to accomplish your goals that you set in January, get a list, go through the leads like crazy, and take as many apps as you can. Because for many of you, I know it's somewhere around 20 to 30% conversion rate, which means for every 3 or 4 apps I take, I get 1 closing. So if you want to have 10 closings this month, just take 40 apps. I mean, go to Domo and look at what your open files are to your closed, and that's your conversion rate. That's the current 2022 conversion rate for you. And if it's 4 to 1, then you just got to get 40 apps a week and you can close 10 a week, or 40 apps a month, you close 10 a month. It's a numbers game when it comes down to that. So anyway, this is like anything that you're doing out there, your networking, your blogging, all that stuff is driving them back to where you can get them into your database. Or, I talk about the second week of the brand plan is sending the link to the loan application on your Movement Mortgage website. Week number 3 is sending a text to that link, right? So week number 1 is send it in email. Then you have something you send them in the mail. And then week number 3 is send them a text message with a link to your online application. So that is saying, find out how much your buyer, or get your buyers approved. I'm watching this 24 hours a day. That's the call to action to drive them back to the website to fill out the form and get their information. So that, I just want you to keep that in mind with all the social media. And I'm going to run through a couple things real quick, and then I kind of want to open it up to see what you guys are connecting here, who's doing some of this stuff. Let me see here. Where'd my cursors go? Covering up all my windows, moving things around here.
So I will say that unless you have Lead Pops and you're a part of Lead Pops will create a web page that's different than the work corporate web page. And it is compliant with what we've done in the past with Movement. And with the Lead Pops, what that does is there is a link there that allows somebody to, instead of doing an application, they can actually insert some information that becomes a lead that gets pushed into Total Expert. Okay. But on our website, there really is no lead capture. Now in Total Expert, I was just going in here, there are landing pages. So you could create a landing page. I have some old ones, and you can take that link and put it on social media. And that would give an opportunity for somebody to want to click on, and give a little bit of information and add as a lead that would take it right back into Total Expert. But I'm looking at our websites and I don't see how our Movement Military and our Standard Movement website has that opportunity outside of doing an application.
Yeah, so the consumer basically goes there and that's just dead. It's there for them to look at that information and it's dead.
Correct.
So
Correct.
what you might do is if that is on our site and you can put that on one of the landing pages in Total Expert and drive them to that instead, that might be better. But
Right.
You're not changing any of the content. I mean, it's all been processed through legal and it's on our site. You're going to drive traffic that way by making it look exactly like that page. And or I don't know about those landing pages. We'll have to look. Maybe you can input that into the landing page and then have the form click here to find out more. Right?
Well, so I'm doing one right now. It's an old, our landing pages are old. They haven't updated any of them, but I'm sure we can use them to some extent. There is one that I'm putting on Facebook just as an example on my personal site, because I can't figure out the whole business thing and how Facebook or Meta has changed that. where it does say home buying unlocked, and then you can click. Let me see if I can click on this. The keys to move from renting to owning, and you click on it, and it says M3, it's got my information, and then
Here,
it goes on to
let's-
explore your options. Take me.
Let's share your screen so we can see what you're looking at, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let me see if I can move that over just so we can see what you're looking at. Where can I add you to share your screen?
Make me host.
Oh, there we go. And then you might be able to request to show your screen.
Yep.
All my,
Share screen. Okay, so
let's see here. I'm not, oh, wait, there you go. Good. Oh, yeah, cool. You're
okay,
in.
so this is an example of the landing page that I just posted. And then we're gonna go out of this. So here it is right here. And again, this is old, so I'm gonna take it down once I look at, once I can find some newer stuff. But it goes into explore your options. And the reason why this is old is because I'm ready to apply, take me to Easy App. Easy App doesn't exist anymore. Okay, Easy App used to be our mobile app on our phones, and we used to do an application.
Yeah.
Movement took that away. But you can go in to get started. What I would like to do, I'd want to buy a home. First time, yes. 3 to 6 months. I'm just gonna click on these. We'll say 300,000. Have you served? I'll say yes, yes. What is your full name? And my phone number. Free, continue, my email address. I'll just duplicate one of my other ones. Okay. So now that I've finished that, right, let me see what it does in Total Expert and see if I have a new.
Now, as I watch that too, guys, here's what I'm kind of even suggesting on what we're talking about today. That right there to me looked like a perfect podcast and a perfect blog topic that you could use on blogger.com. We'll talk about a couple of different sites, but you could do a podcast on renting versus owning and just reading the detailed information. And you could find some rent versus own, or why would you rent versus own, and you could copy and paste that content or retype it up in your own words is even better. So you don't, just in case it's copyrighted, got to be really careful about copyrighted stuff. But if you created a blog on that, your graphic there, see, took them right to filling out information. I'm just wondering how many consumers won't follow that all the way through. Did anybody else think the same thing? Right? Or they might not. But if I could go to something like a blog where I could find more information out, now just follow me here, because this is what we're kind of talking about in this call today, is that graphic that was on Facebook. When they clicked it, I actually want it to go to my blog where I have a detailed, kind of article about owning versus renting. But then at the bottom, it says, find out your choices and click here. And then it takes them back to that where they fill in the information. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So it's a way to top grade your referral or your leads that are coming in, because now somebody that does go through that process is more serious than renter, just a renter that wanted to click through the buttons and see. I'm just saying that that's kind of the funnel that we're talking about, is that you want to take them like the headline to grab their attention to get more information that will intrigue the people that are really wanting to move forward to click and give you their information. So it's a little bit more qualified lead. But again, anybody you get into your database through any of these sources, if you cultivate them properly, you're going to get a lot of information. I'll give you a perfect example. Anybody heard of Dave Ramsey's program? Right? So Dave Ramsey gets the exposure online. These people trust him. They select the agent, or they select the mortgage, or they select whatever. When that was captured coming from Dave Ramsey's website, so whatever that little teaser was out there, or it came from his site, it came into the database, but we knew it came in from Dave Ramsey's site. See, Dave Ramsey got 38% referral fee on the real estate agent's commission. I mean, that's getting pretty close to half, right? And all he's doing is sending me a name and a number. I do not want to market Dave Ramsey, that I'm a Dave Ramsey person, to anyone in my database, only to the people that Dave Ramsey sends me. Because if I promoted Dave Ramsey to everyone, which is great leverage and, you know, doing all the financial things that he talks about, and they go to his website and click, then I have to pay him 38%. So I'm only putting Dave Ramsey's people on a follow-up plan that has to do with Dave Ramsey's stuff. Because they're a Ramsey follower that he sent to me, I would send them the 8-touch brand plan was actually his 7 baby steps. I just sent one baby step every week to talk. Let's talk about baby step number 1. Let's talk about baby step number 2. Let's talk about baby step number 3. And you're debt free, right? And at the end of the 8 weeks, we programmed them that we are the Dave Ramsey guy. But I wouldn't put just anybody on that plan. So when that comes into your database, that's when I said know where those leads come in at. But we can also talk about the baby steps in a podcast, and I'm only going to send those out to the Dave Ramsey leads as well. So in that particular case, I'm not really promoting for Dave Ramsey leads. I'm taking what he was sending in from the program. But so here, and was there anything else? Oh, wait, did I go back to sharing my screen? I need to get back to my screen now. I think it's this one. Did you see if that lead came into your database? I'm sure it probably did somewhere. But that's the only thing I would probably do a little different. Oh, maybe it's this one. There we go. You guys back to my podcast and blogging is on the screen? Cool. So that's the only thing I would do differently is I rather than send them straight to that form. Now I would track it first. And if I know how many people clicked on Facebook to go to that page and how many people filled it out and completed it, and I'm getting a good conversion rate, I'd leave it the way it is. It's working, right? But that it didn't give me any information, and it jumped me right into questions, which again, consumers might do that if they want to know what their options are. You might want to talk about the different types of options and get them to click renting versus owning or whatever. Anyway, again, we're going to bring this back on the conversation that you guys are going to have on the mastermind part of how you would tie all this together. And what you're doing is think of a spider web, right? You got the spider in the center of the web, and this is the one that's eating and feeding off of everything that's coming into the web somewhere, but it's all connected back to home base. And that's your home, some type of website where you can capture their information. And if you can get them directly in to M3, that's even better. Once these will eventually get to the point where I hope, like if something came in from some certain link, M3 would know to start this campaign or start that campaign. We're not there yet. I'm not even sure if we have complete control over customized campaigns yet, even though we talked about that on one of our calls.
They're not going to do drip campaigns on Total Expert.
Yeah.
It's all journeys.
Yeah. So on this whole thing, when you're podcasting, when you're doing anything out there, whether it's on Facebook, whatever, these are the things. It's making you the expert. You're talking about topics that people will want to click on and find out more about. You know, what's happening with the values of your homes right now? Boom, that could be a topic that might get somebody to tune in. But let me get through here. When you build up your podcast or your blog, it's going to make you the authority. They suggested that you on the was it the blogs, I think, that you do 2 or more pieces every week where you're doing content that's 200 until you get to about 200 articles. Same with podcasts. You have people, you see them saying we're like on, what do they call it? Episode 1 or episode 2, episode 12, episode 23. When I say all this stuff, followers don't mean crap. Okay. You are building episodes to build your Google juice to show up in more things. You're building Google juice to create you as the expert, that if they have any question about anything you've ever talked about, there's something for them to click, pick up, call you, give you their information, get in your database so that you can follow up with them. And once they show up in your database, I hope that you can see that they came in and you can tag them and pick up the phone and call them and go, hey, I just saw you were on our podcast or listening to the podcast on renting versus owning. What questions do you have about it? Which I'm bringing that up again, the funnel and the capture of people to feed into the database and how you're going to do that on everything you guys do on social media. But anyway, like I said, we're not talking about all this stuff necessarily. I just want to, this part I know you guys get. It builds you as the expert. But look at this. This graphic gives a good explanation of kind of what I'm talking about. You're looking at business activities on one side. This is your website content. It's talking about detailed things about owning a home, getting a mortgage, what you need, those kind of things, filling out the application. Your blog content on your business stuff is business centered. Like, what is the process to get through a VA loan? Do you know there are real estate agents that don't even realize or know that when we say VA is zero down, that the VA the guy still has to come up with $5,000 to $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 in closing costs, right? I mean, they don't get to buy the house for free. So that they're writing contracts saying zero down VA and didn't ask for any closing costs to be paid by the seller, and the buyer doesn't have any money because he thinks he gets in for no down. Well, that ain't going nowhere. That deal's going to fall apart. And that's where the education on this process can really help. So that's your business side of things. Same with your podcast and your content. I mean, you could just have a conversation on that one topic right there with real estate agents, you know, talking about VA buyers. How do you talk to them about it's not really zero down? They still have closing costs they got to come up with. And how do you handle that in your contracts? I just shared one with the letter that we put with our offers to get our offers accepted before multiple offers can come in, stating that, you know, hey, we're working with a lender that's got 30 years, over 6,000 loans to make sure this is a smooth deal. Don't take a chance on just getting a higher offer that doesn't appraise or whatever. So I just shared that out on a blog site with real estate agents for them to get, they can actually copy and paste and use my letter, right? And I say, if you want more letters like this, click here, and they go to my Coach Corn website, and I share all the different letters on there, but they went directly into the database, so I can now drip on them and get referral business as a real estate agent. But you see here on your business sphere, it's capturing and closing business. So you're going to be on the left side more often on the front end, because if you follow the kind of the stuff about the brand plan and that, you know, the average person moves every 5 to 10 years, then that means only 20% of the population is moving or doing business activities any given year, which means that also only 1 to 2% are doing something right now. 20% moving every year divided by 12 months is a little bit like right around 2%. So that's why most conversion rates from all this mass capture stuff is around 1 to 2%. Look at the other side, dialogue marketing. That's your social networks. That's your little fun things you do on Facebook. Or have you thought about, you know, refinancing, or what would you do with $300 a month if they refied? And I'm not going to burn out the refi conversation, because I know we're not doing a ton of those right now, but some people still are, right? But quick clips, those are where you can take like your podcast, and you can, have you guys seen Gary Vee? I sent you that Gary Vee video where he does these little shorter clips and he has the words come across. Those are the kind of short clips that will catch somebody's attention about a VA loan. Or gosh, you guys could interview your clients who have closed on houses and talk to them about the process of going through a VA process, or the process of going through buying a house now, or the process if it took them forever to find a new home because they kept getting beat out. What was that process like? What did they experience? And you could create a podcast on that with all of your past clients. That will create the content that everybody else in the current market is still struggling with, and they'll want to click to talk to the guy that helped them get through it. Because at the end of that podcast, you're going to be like, and we finally got you the house. Yep, you sure did. And if you even took some of the stuff that we've talked about on some of our one-on-one coaching calls, where I've got 5 people approved and they just can't seem to get a contract accepted. Well, that's going back to the agent and talking to them about how do you get these offers accepted? You don't just fill out an offer and send it and see how it goes in this market. What are they really doing to find the Joneses a house? And you're talking to the Joneses going, what's the process like? Where's the frustration? And then you're able to connect that with the agent to shortcut that frustration and let them know what's happening and figure out a way to beat the system, right? To get the offer accepted before other offers are accepted or before multiple offers come in. So this dialogue marketing is more of your daily social media stuff. And all you're doing is cultivating and connecting. And then you're actually out capturing them too, because we're going to continue to cultivate and connect through the database, knowing that 80% of the people aren't moving this year. More importantly, knowing that 98% of the people aren't doing anything this month, but 2% of them are going to do something next month and another 2% next month and another 2% next month. So these social media tidbit things, even though I'm talking about business stuff like VA loans and these kind of things and getting more detailed information about the process, you can also be plugged into the community. Like in Facebook, we talk about Facebook being the backyard barbecue, right? So any topic that you have that's backyard barbecue-ish, you can put that on Facebook. But remember, it's probably like 1 part business, 4 parts personal. So your personal connection in your community and just being involved in different things, having great, like here's an example on this dialogue marketing stuff. If somebody were going to go interview a restaurant owner or go to one of your museums and do a little post out front, hey, we're out front in front of Poppy's Pizza, right? And we're going to go in and meet the chef himself, blah, blah, blah. Well, what you're selling is lifestyle in your community for those kind of things. So that will eventually lead to, if you'd like to know about Poppy's Pizza or some of our other restaurants that we've interviewed, click here, and that would take them to maybe it's the blog site or whatever on the different restaurants. So I have different blog sites for real estate stuff, for coaching stuff, that different kind of things that they can go in and see the different blogs in there, that it would just be a printout of our interview with Poppy's Pizza. And that now you got the content and you got the words and the keywords and all the other things, which we're coming up to here on keywords and things, is capturing from that Google juice. All right, I'm just going to pause out in case somebody wants to jump in on anything. So let's see here. Capturing and closing, links to your podcast. Everything's linking back to the site where they can get more information. And that the people that are more interested are going to click and give you their information. But it could be, this is another one that I want to make sure I talked about. A lot of your Facebook posts or your Instagram things or those outside feeders that are catching the bugs in the spider web, right? The spider's sitting down here has got to go out and get them. Those things, make sure that you're not giving them everything available right there. And make sure, I mean, it was so important what Kimberly said, because she went to that site and realized there's no way to capture their information. So that's not going to do me a whole lot of good there. Now, what I might use that site for is to print or take the people that I've already captured their information. And now I know they want that information. Now I could send it to them as a resource site, but I'm not going to funnel people to that hoping to capture something because there's nothing to capture them. So you got to capture. So you give them here are the 3 top things out of the 7 most important things people do wrong when they list their house in this market. Or for the top 2 things, here's the top 2 things that people mess up on. Click here to get the other 7. And that's where they click to fill in their information to send it to them. This was one of the biggest mistakes I made early on, because I would give the 7 tips to selling your house fast. Well, I gave it all to them on the front end. I needed to get them into my database to get the rest of it. So you only give them a little piece of the information. This is real important too. When you do these immediate response and sending emails with good deals in the area and directing them to service stuff on your website, Guys, anybody that is responding, I want you to look at your Facebook post, and anybody that responds, or if you have a newsletter that goes out, it shows open rates, those kind of things. We might have their email address because they got a newsletter from us and it's tracking open rates. But if you do like a Facebook post, you know, everybody that likes it and everybody that posts a response, you should be writing that name down into your master list and finding their address and their phone number, and you should be calling them. So one of the things, and I don't like to shit on people, but I'm just saying, if you're going to post something, you know, shooting on people is kind of messy. Now, but when you do anything, those people are responding, you're getting exposure, make sure they're in your database, right? Make sure they're in your database. And like the easiest thing is just even clicking like when somebody puts comments. It takes like, I don't know, about 5 minutes a day to go through any post and see any likes I haven't done. Sometimes I'll hit reply and post a little funny comment if they posted something, but I'm actually looking at the responses that are on there. I'm saying take that one step further and pull those people off, put them on your master list, find a name and phone number and call them. Because right now you're in their mind. They saw your post, they responded to it. Nothing better than to get a call and even just say, you know, hey, it's Jason over at Movement Mortgage. Did I catch you a good time? Just touching base. I saw you saw the Facebook post. So yeah, your kids are ready for Halloween too. You know, I was just checking in, see how things are going. How's life? It gives you a good connection using that social media stuff. Any questions or anybody doing anything on any of that stuff? How many of you right now never thought about every single person that's commented or responded to make sure they're in your database? I mean, this is huge. These are people that know who you are and they commented. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but I use blogger.com. And here's what I do. So I'm just going to give you my coaching version. I get on a coaching call every morning with a whole bunch of other coaches and I'm on stage and share little tidbits. We all talk for like 2 minutes and I just talk about coaching stuff, which you guys may actually experience this because here's what I'm doing. It's almost like a podcast. I'm capturing my conversation, my piece. I'm not recording theirs. I'm capturing my piece, recording it. I'm putting it into a video on my YouTube channel, kind of like a podcast. They're 2 to 5 minutes long. And then I'm taking the content and summarizing it and putting it on my blog. So now I've got all these little things out there. And then I just run through Facebook or YouTube or my blog, and I paste that link on different things on Instagram, Facebook. So like if it's Facebooky, and it's all fluffy kind of stuff, I'll post that one on Facebook. If it was a real business conversation about knowing your numbers, I send that link to LinkedIn. So it's starting this web of all this stuff. So I'm just recording like everything. And I'm going to share with you where to get the content because I know we're already filled up the hour. But the blogger.com is where I just go from YouTube. When I post that, it actually pops that up and says, where else would you like to put it? I throw it on my Blogger account. And then I'm just going to share those 2 links on different sites. Same thing with podcasting. This was just a Google. I Googled what are the top podcast platforms. So you could just Google that on where you get the most exposure. And honestly, if I had a podcast, I would put it on every one of these. These are the top 15 that somebody listed. So I would make sure I'm promoting my podcast through all of those. But on your content, make sure you're using your own stuff, videoing what's going on. And the biggest thing that I wanted to talk about, I'm not going to do do's and don'ts. So that's kind of just basic. But these are the things that you want to create podcast on or blog content. Remember, that's your 2 to 3 paragraph thing about these topics. And then each paragraph, you can take a sentence or 2 from each paragraph and create a Facebook post for it, create a LinkedIn post for it, create an Instagram post for it, create a TikTok for it, right? So Instagram's photos, LinkedIn is business version, Facebook is fun backyard barbecue version. So just take something from that paragraph and create 4 or 5 posts to put out of all those things and send them back to this article. Now I got the second paragraph. I do the same thing again. And maybe tomorrow or the next day, I'm going to do another little post on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram that references the second paragraph but it's just driving them back to that place again, wherever that information is sitting. And again, just making sure that you have something there. But what you get is questions you get asked all the time. And you can almost just turn your phone on during the day. Anytime you take a phone call from a client and they're talking about something that's going on with their file, or they're having trouble getting this or getting that, you can almost just record everything you do all day long. But a real easy one is look at your text messages and look at your sent and your incoming emails. Well, your sent emails, right? You replied to somebody, an agent, about an issue. If you're targeting the agents, you've responded to an agent about how to handle something. You responded to an agent about, yeah, you still need closing costs for your VA loan. You responded to a consumer about, here's why we need these documents. You responded to a consumer about, what they qualify for and what their debt to income ratio is, or how they can pay some stuff off. So your outgoing emails and your text messages have all kinds of content in them that you guys can create.
I wanted to add something really quick because it became a subject. It's always been a subject in our industry, but it became a subject this morning even more, about the consumer alert when it comes to credit, when you pull somebody's credit, and how other lenders are pinged and notified that somebody's information was pulled for the purpose of a mortgage loan, because now all of a sudden the borrower gets hit with these calls from other lenders, sometimes acting as if they're from Movement Mortgage. And I just had this conversation with a broker. She called me today and she said, isn't this illegal? And I said, no, it's actually not. And anytime I pull credit, this is what I send out. And I read her the letter. That definitely is a topic that a lot of realtors don't know about, let alone buyers.
Yeah, I mean, you could literally, when you're talking to a realtor about what you do for them, like you just turn your phone on and record it. When I went to listing appointments, I turned my phone on and recorded it and set it down. Now, I didn't promote it anywhere. I didn't post it anywhere because they're talking about personal stuff. But what I would do is I'd go back and play it back, and I would hear every objection that they came up with during the listing appointment. And I would find scripts for those if I didn't have them, right? But it would also give me the topics of questions people have about selling. When is the best time to sell? Right? Is it better to wait till spring to sell? I would pull that off the recording and I would address that as a question. So here's what I would suggest, guys. Just like Kimberly was saying, take 20 minutes of your lead gen time and just look through topics that you could talk about. Just turning your phone on and spending 1 or 2 minutes explaining something. If you get off the phone with a client and you just got done explaining something while it's fresh in your head, turn your phone on and just do that, right? And explain that. Those things I've been doing in the morning, it's not even me on camera, right? It's just, I grab, like if we're talking about, what did we talk about today? It was, I can't even remember what we talked about today. Just maximizing. Yeah, go ahead.
Call to action.
Yeah. Well, whatever that topic is, like I will just grab a Google search of, it was success, right? Actually, let me just get it because now my brain's going crazy here.
And the other thing, Brad, that if you record it and you replay it, let's say you pulled up a Word document, you can click on your dictation, you record it, and it will automatically type for you. And that way you can go in there and just edit what you need.
Yeah. So like our topic today was success. Success favors courage. And it just means you have to have courage to take a risk and go do something, and then you'll create success out of that. So I just Googled the word success and all these little graphics came up under images. And I just videoed that screen while I was talking. So it wasn't just audio, but yet I can create a video version and an audio version, and then I can transcribe it into the text version. And those 3 things are the detailed information about that topic. Now, these are just 2-minute, 3-minute, 5-minute, dissertations, but I can create multiple social media posts off of that. And I could even do an extended longer paper on what success and courage really means, right? And then all those things would drive back to, wow, don't you want to have success, and get my 7 ways to increase your courage, or whatever, whatever it might be. That's like coming from a coaching side. So just take 20 minutes to look at what are your social media topics that are going on and put some thought into your post. thought meaning, think about keywords too. When you transcribe anything, go back through and really focus on keywords. If you Google handwritten notes, there's not a whole lot of information on handwritten notes. I need to get that keyword out there more because I talk about it so much. And it's not even about talking about it. You guys tell me when you write the notes, you're like, oh my God, you wouldn't believe what happened. Like it's just amazing how we've gotten connected. But anyway, so those topics every day, just doing that. Guys, I actually set up a campaign reminder, an email plan that I sent myself an email every 2 days that said to go post something on these social media sites. Are you guys still seeing my screen? All right, we're going to wrap this up in the next couple of minutes if you can hang tight. But if you look here, I get down towards the bottom of the screen. That is an email that I sent to myself through a campaign that just automatically kicks these emails out every 2 days. And on this one, it said, take 20 minutes and use this as your lead gen time. There's a Flickr link with my login and password. There's a Facebook link with my login and password. And there's a blog spot with my login and password. Now, 2 days from now, I'm going to get a LinkedIn link. I'm going to get an Instagram link. I'm going to get a photo bucket link. 2 days later, I'm going to get 3 more links. 2 days later, 3 more links. And there's about 20 different social media sites that I'm just sending myself an email every 2 days to go do something on these sites. So it'll take a couple of seconds. When this campaign ends and I don't restart it, I don't do any social media posts on a consistent basis. When this plan runs, I do social media posts a lot more consistently than if I didn't have the reminder. So however that reminder system for you is up there. I had a bunch of like agents that just showed different things that they've done, but the meat is what I want you to get. Keywords. Keywords are important for you to get the search engine juice, which is coming out of print stuff, and or like when you use YouTube and stuff, they are transcribing it and using the words. So in your descriptions, we may not talk about keywords while we're doing a podcast, but in your description, you want to use keywords that somebody would search by, right? The reason why your house won't sell, 7 reasons why your house doesn't sell. Again, these were just like some basic examples, but links on all your social media stuff, links on all your email signatures, links back to your main page where you can capture their information, or they can find your address or find your phone number. Guys, you can keep your website alive by driving all your traffic back to a main hub where all the detailed information is. So anyway, that's it. Questions, comments, anything to add? I thought I was going to get through the slides a little faster. And anything you guys are doing out there that's working, or anything you got from today's call that you didn't think about before that you're going to spend a little more time on?
It's a lot of information. And I think the best way you've provided a lot of information here. And it's kind of overwhelming. And the idea is just to pick 1 or 2 things only, and then go with that and focus on that until you really have it packed, down packed, and then potentially going to the next thing. But I've just got to wrap my head around all of it first.
Yeah. And I hope what you'll take is don't just throw stuff out there to do it. Have a purpose and have a master plan to get them back to capturing them so that you can cultivate and convert them into a closing. So that's the big thing I hope. Anybody else? That was awesome though. Thanks.
I'd agree with what she said. Pick and choose what works for you, put it together and be consistent with it. So, I'll be honest, I'll be the first critic of myself being consistent with tracking. I do stuff, but tracking, I got to get better at it. So I want to be better at tracking the 8-brand plan. And then like something that it's so simple to do is just email yourself a reminder, post on this site, post on that site. And when you get it, just go do it. It's super simple stuff. So I think
Jason,
picking and choosing little pieces out of this stuff will work.
I was going to say, Jason, you can actually do an activity plan in Total Expert, and it'll show you your tasks, what to do.
Show you what?
Show you your upcoming tasks on what to do.
Okay.
Yeah. So a real simple way to say this, guys, is in Total Expert, put yourself in as a contact record and just set up email to come to you in 2 days and put 3 links in there. send an email to come to you in 4 days and set that in there. But the thing is, you got to go to Total Expert every day and open it up and look at your dashboard to see what's due for the day. You do have to live by that dashboard when you start relying on the system to remind you. But that, you could just copy and paste all your sites that you post stuff on. And see, I did pass my login and password there because I was finding that I was spending time digging around. What's the login on that one? This one has some stupid asterisk behind it, where I could just click the link, do it, post it, and be done, because you don't want to get sucked into social media, right? Turn on TikTok and try and get away from it. You can't watch just one video, right? Next thing you know, it's an hour into it going, what the hell am I doing?
Right. An hour, dang, I'm like 10 minutes and I'm like, I gotta get out of this.
Oh, I only do it during wasted time. If I'm waiting because we're supposed to leave and I'm waiting on somebody, that's when I turn on TikTok, because my wife hates it. So I know she'll hurry up if she hears TikTok running. Anybody else have anything they got from today or that you might have more questions on? And then we'll wrap it up. All right, guys, this was a lot of information. This is a link that you're going to get the link to this so you can go back and watch it again. Just be on purpose and get people back to getting them connected into your M3 so you can cultivate and create this pipeline of business. Be on purpose. Anybody that's responding to anything on your social media, check and see if they're in your database. I bet you most of them aren't. Start finding their address and phone number, pick up the phone and move it offline to in person, write a handwritten note and move it into a relationship. So have fun with it. Don't get too caught up in it. Just be on purpose to get that web working for you. All right. Good call today, guys. Hopefully you thought the same.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. You're welcome.